Hey guys and gals, welcome back to the Farmer and Sons Garage channel.
So this will be episode 6 of the pickle build, and what we want to do real quick before we take this off the frame, which is what we're hoping to do in this episode, get it off. We've actually propped the bumper back up here and just set a jack stand against it just to kind of show you a comparison. Now this does have the engine and transmission pulled out, so it is probably sitting probably a couple inches higher than it would have been without that, but you can see where this is on me compared to where this is on me on how this sits on the Crown Vic full frame swap, and just the stance is unbelievable on these trucks. I'll get you to come on this way, Laban. Again, a comparison. So this is the stock ride height on the bed of the truck. So I'll set the level on the bed, and it hits me right about there. And then if we go to this truck, it's going to hit me right about there. So that's probably about 8 inches difference, I guess, somewhere in that range, 7 or 8 inches. So this is 16 inches tall, and it's got at least an inch gap there. So you got about 17 inches from the ground. And on this one, I did it backwards. Hang on. It's about 9.5 or 9.25. So yeah, 8 3/4 inches or so. So you're getting an 8-inch drop. So instead of being, well, the rim size is different, so that's going to throw that off. But on this one, you can get the 2-inch or whatever that is in between the top of the tire and the bedside, and this one's all the way down below the rim. So just the stance on these Crown Vics, and of course the ride quality and all that stuff, and bang for your buck, as we've said in just about every video we do, you can't beat it. So anyway, we wanted to do one last little video with Pickle still on its frame. So tonight it's getting pulled off. We'll be doing some moving around. We pulled this truck out. I'm getting ready to back this truck in or roll it in, get it up in the air. So we'll get going. So what we're going to do, we've got the truck backed into the garage, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this good on the video or not, but I had this little like T shape in the floor there from when I had my truck. I had the 4 of those marked so that I had a spot lined out for my truck when we did it in here, to where if we were moving stuff back and forward, we could put it exactly where it was when we rolled it back in to get it to line up with our lifts and stuff. So I've got a thing rigged up here, and I took an old bed frame and welded it, like doubled it over and welded it together, and that's going to go inside here, set up here, so that when I hook my come along to it, it'll catch under these bed rails, and that's what's going to lift the bed portion up. So I'm getting that lined up and ready to go here in a minute. We're going to go ahead and take the doors off each side. Then we're going to take the engine puller or cherry picker and slide it under here with a 2x8 or 2x10, whatever that is, which is the same one I used on my truck. And then we'll put like a towel or a rag over here on each side. I'll probably bolt a little board on each side so that the cab can't shift on us, and we'll jack the cab. Of course, this is cab and bed made together because it's a unibody. So we will jack the cab up and lift the bed up, and that's what we're getting ready to do here in a minute. So we're going to take the 2 doors off. It's just 4 bolts on each side. No reason to show you that. Anybody can do that. But we will start the video back up when we get ready to raise the truck off the body. Okay, so I said as we were doing the videos to start with, that we were taking off 4 bolts on each side on the doors. That was incorrect, and most of y'all probably realize that. There are 4 outer bolts. Then you got to go in through the holes for the door hinges and do the 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. So there's 8 bolts on each side. Anyway, we have taken the doors off, as you can see, to make it easy on us instead of having to fight with a bunch of stuff. And since it was in such horrific shape, we just took the Sawzall and hacked the steering wheel off because it was already cracked, busted, torn all to smash. I mean, it was not really usable for anybody. Well, I mean, I guess it was usable, but it wasn't really worth keeping. So we went and knocked that off. And as you can see, the floorboard is pretty much Swiss cheese. It's had some patchwork that was really horrible. So we're going to remove all that and just slide the Crown Vic under it, which has a nice solid floor. Same thing we did on my truck, which my truck had been patched with about a 3/4 of an inch of fiberglass in several places. I had to cut through a mountain of fiberglass when I did mine. This one's never been really repaired like that. I mean, they've tried to do a few little patches, and like there's some areas where they've tried to patch in just little pieces of metal that they just either riveted in or sheet metal screwed in. And yeah, that one's got bolts through a big piece of sheet metal that they tried to redo the firewall and floor pan with. But nonetheless, so what we're doing, and I think I mentioned this in the previous part of the video, we also had a snag on the Crown Vic where we tried to do grounds. And what's funny is where I grounded my Crown Vic, when I tried to ground it here on this one, it didn't actually ground. It was on the little back, that kind of little island area, or that little leftover area of Crown Vic body, or the part that goes in the bottom of the trunk that covers the fuel tank and the rear suspension. That little area back there, I drilled a couple of holes, kind of grinded them off a little bit, and put the ground that goes to the fuel pump relay and the ground that goes over to the inertia switch, those little ground areas back there. When we went to start it the other day, it had nothing. And one crazy thing that it did, we ended up moving that up and trying to ground to the frame, which we found out the Crown Vic frame itself is not really a groundable surface. Maybe there are some parts of it are, but where we were trying was not. When we'd hit the brakes, the park lights in the front would come on, which was bizarre because we weren't grounded. So it was like running through when we'd hit the brakes, it was making the front lights light up. But nonetheless, we finally, after moving some stuff around and finding a nice place on the body up between where the front seat and back seat would be, one of the parts we're going to leave, I drilled a hole and grounded it off down to the bare metal, tacked those, or put those in and bolted them down, and we fired right up. Everything works great. So anyway, this video is kind of, we said we were doing it the other evening, and then when we got hit the snag with Crown Vic grounds, we ended up not going back to this.
All right, guys, so we kind of had a plan tonight that we thought we were going to get the truck up in the air tonight off the old frame. And, you know, it's broke loose. It's ready to go. But when we pulled the gas tank out along the back here behind the gas tank, I mean, you can just see how ate out through that is. I mean, it's the garage floor through that hole right there. I mean, it's all the way across from side to side. You know, we kind of said we were going to show you earlier in some earlier videos of this truck, how rough the floor of this truck was. I mean, this is the passenger side, and this is just a big plate that they've just kind of patched in there with screws, and it's got little patches in different places. You know, so part of where we're going to end up cutting, he was showing me earlier on his truck, we're going to cut and save a little bit of this. We're clearly going to have to do something. This is just like tin or just thin little stuff that they've hacked in here just to try to hold this truck together. So, I mean, you can see it's all the way in this corner, all the way down. We're going to save about this much. Mother Nature kind of took care of this part of cutting for us here. And on this underside, I was going to show you where somebody had lifted or attempted to lift this truck at some point. You can see where this is just, there's nothing here. It just gave way. Bent right up with it. Right there's the underside of that.
We'll actually bend
floor.
We'll probably bend that back down to level.
Oh, for sure.
Put a little piece of square tube in there just to box that up. And because we need to get that level because the fender bolts to that hole right there. So we'll have to push that back out where it belongs.
Out. So just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of little change in plans, not going up and down on the car so fast. We're going to kind of do a little bit of structural repair in a few spots on this thing just to make sure we don't get it up in the air and have some kind of tweak or bend or something crazy happen.
Yeah, we don't want to crack the windshield or any of that stuff.
Right. This truck actually has a really nice windshield in it. So, a little change in plans. We're probably going to do like Matt from River City had done along the back, welding in a piece of angle steel there across the back with like an L steel there.
And another flat plate. Because we'll be keeping about 3 inches of that back there. So that whole section that's rotted out along the bottom there, we'll have to patch a little panel in there as well. But underneath, actually, I climbed up under the truck, and believe it or not, underneath is that little torque box, I guess you call it, or a little pan that runs all the way across between the back of the cab and the bed underneath for give it some rigidity and structural integrity. Over there, of course, where you're showing, there's a big hole that's eat out. And I actually think we may end up cutting this one out as well so that we can clean it out. And so we'll pull that jagged piece that's just hanging in there. We'll pull that out, clean that up. You'll cut back another inch or so till we can hit some good metal that'll clean up and patch that in. We'll do the same over here, probably cut out a rectangle shape, try to find a good solid enough place that we can weld to. That's pretty solid, just needs to be cleaned up, and the same back here. So we'll probably cut out enough to find clean metal to weld, or make it clean enough to weld to. And we'll put some little patches in here too. Not too bad. The rest of the bed's in fairly decent shape, which of course we'll be cutting out that large section in the middle anyway. So that'll give us some little pieces we can use, like maybe to cut out here and there wherever we need to patch in the front. We'll have some extra metal to use for that purpose. So anyway, we're kind of backpedaling a little bit, but I'd rather do it like this when it's by itself and loose. Once we, like I said, we've got it completely detached from the frame. So now would be the time to do it while it's, we're not going to be welding near any wires, because this, there's no wires left really on this that we're using. So this is the time to weld when we can't really hurt anything as far as heating up anything, and anything in there, we're not going to have to worry about warpage or any of that stuff, because it's all going to be behind the seat and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we'll be going to get us some sheet metal, some angle iron or little L-shaped metal, and a couple of pieces of plates. And we need to get a couple of little square tubes to weld in on each side up here on the front of the cab, where the front fenders connect at the bottom. That side's not as bad as this side. This side's really bad. We'll have to fix this, and we need to do a little work over there, but nothing as major as this side. All right. Yeah, we're in. So we got a good lesson on trying to say what we're going to do when we're going to do it. So we figured out real quick that our plans don't always work out. So we always try to do, we try to finish each one of our videos with a Bible verse or a prayer or something, a little devotional or something. So I'm going to finish off with a little Bible verse here. So those of you that aren't interested in that, I appreciate you watching up to this point. If you guys want to check out here, hopefully you'll come back and watch us on our next one. But for those of you that are okay with that, I appreciate you watching this far in. We didn't get as far on this episode or this part of this of the Pickle Project, and we're kind of playing geometrical motions here. I've got 3 vehicles in my garage here now: the 46 coupe, that's kind of a catch-all for stuff, and the Pickle and the Univic. So James chapter 4, verse number 13, it says, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why do you not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we will live and do this or do that." So we were saying we're going to have the truck off the frame and up in the air, and of course that got switched around. We had a little delay where we had the ground issue on the Crown Vic. We had to sort out and get that fixed. It took us a while to figure that one out. We were tracing down all the wires and all that stuff, and even afraid at one point the fuel pump had gone out because it was making a noise when we turned the key on. It just wasn't the normal humming noise. It was like a fluttering noise, and I thought it was the fuel pump trying to kick in, but that like it was burnt up or something. So I got a code scanner, and we put it on it, was trying to check it and all that stuff. But anyway, we're back on track. Like I said, we're taking a little bit of a setback, but this was stuff we kind of knew we were going to have to do anyway. So I'd rather do it as we go while we've got it, off the body and all that stuff, or about to be off the body. So we'll hit these little patches and spots we need to, if it's the Lord's will, and we'll get on track and stay on track. Our goal is to try to get to the F100 Grand National Show in May, the weekend of like the May 18th, 19th. So that's our goal. So we've still got about 50 days to do that. And we've seen other guys knock these Crown Vic swap outs, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that have got a lot of time to really hit it. We're kind of hit and miss. But anyway, we'll finish off this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate those of you that have subscribed. We're up to about 740 now, I think. So almost up to 750. So share this with your buddies and friends that might be interested in doing one of these Crown Vic swaps. And God bless you guys. Thanks for watching.